Hello everybody, how's it going today? Glowplasma231 here, and today I want to talk about the 119th chapter of Oshi no Ko. This is a really interesting chapter, and really a big one for the whole universe of Oshi no Ko, and like how I've done with, like, I don't know, the past 8 chapters now, I just want to talk about it like usual. And, like I said, this chapter really has a whole lot to offer. I mean, last chapter, we did get the whole big reveal of Serena's mother just appearing as the advertising agency's lead for the upcoming 15-year Lie movie. And this was sort of just revealed at the end of the chapter, and not really a whole lot was mentioned on it. And now just for a little fun part of it, just to go ahead and say it, we know what Serena's mother's name is. We learned in this chapter, right? It's Marina. Pretty much Serena, just switch out the S for an M. Would you look at that? Really creative name there. So we meet Serena's mother, of course, Marina, at the end of that chapter, and this chapter we start off with meeting her. We see that she is at a Indian curry restaurant with a bunch of other people, right? We see 3 other women there who are probably on an advertising agency of some sort. We also see producer Kaburagi and director Gontonda also here. And we see that some people are just like, man, this place is curry is to die for, right? And then just like a little, I guess, sort of joke with Marina here, where she's just like, watch, you can use these bones that come in it as a straw to drink the stuff like a lassie, drink it like this. And everybody's sort of like, oh, look at that, so funny and cool, right? I don't know if that's something if you eat a lot of curry you would get, because personally, I don't eat curry, and I don't understand it whatsoever, right? So we get sort of a close-up of director Gontonda here. He's sort of just sitting here, right? And we eventually see that producer Kaburagi gets directed at by Marina. She's just like, so where do we go next? Everyone is here for drinks, right? Kaburagi's like, I know a few quiet places around here, so we could probably go there and do it. And he mentions a bar by name being Pine, and she's just like, oh, good idea. She's like, my friend runs that bar, I'll text him to get us a room or whatever, right? And as we see, director Gontonda is sitting here, right, and he's got 2 women on both of his sides. We're just trying to love up on him, I guess. As he gets a phone call, and who would this phone call be from but Aqua himself, right? As he picks up the phone, he's like, oh, Aqua, hey, what's going on? And Aqua's just like, hey, where are you now, right? He's like, you haven't done any of the confirmations, and the deadline is today, right? As Gontonda's like, well, I went out to drink with someone from the agency, and Aqua's like, agency, eh? As we sort of see that he just starts going on a rant, and he's like, you mean one of those? One that claims they're friends with female models and actresses, and goes to drinks at a hidden bar, right? And Gontonda just sort of shuts him off. He's like, well, for them, personal connections are important, and we're always looking for good actors and actresses, so it's fine. But Aqua's like, here's the thing, I don't really care about that. He's just like, only strong-willed people gather in such a place like that after all, so I'm not really too worried about it. She's just like, but don't get drunk, Gontonda. And Gontonda's like, I won't. How many years do you think I've been in this industry? As he sort of just starts to explain that in the industry, whatever happens, even if there's some moral sense of obligation and human feelings going on, you have to avoid having drinks, right? He pretty much says that the business of acting and managing and all of that is a world of communication, and that he is a pro in the world, and thusly says, pros never get drunk. As we cut to the next page, where yes, Gontonda got drunk, as he's just like, oh, where's my phone, where'd it go? As we get a really sort of comedic panel going on here, right? As we see that one of these people is just like, hey, director Gontonda, your phone is over here, right? And he's just like, oh man, where am I? And this probably starts off my favorite sort of joke of the chapter, as Kaburagi just looks at Aqua, who has suddenly appeared to pick up Gontonda, and it's like, hey Aqua, can you take that thing home? And Aqua's like, yeah, I'll take that thing home. As it's just a joke just calling Gontonda a thing because he's not himself. It's pretty funny. As we see that Kaburagi gives Aqua some cash to pay for a taxi, so hey, Gontonda's a good person, right? I remember whenever he was first introduced with the whole Sweet Today arc thing, I was really concerned. Like, I remember how another acting series Act Age ended, and sort of the things around it and things it portrayed. If you know what I'm talking about, you know, but I don't really want to get into it. And at first I thought Kakariko was going to be that type of character. And to be honest, I'm really just happy they're not. I can't tell you how happy I am that they aren't. As we see that Marina here starts to say stuff to Aqua, and she's just like, oh, hey, you're Aqua Hoshino-kun. And she's just like, I've heard about you. You are the director's #1 apprentice. And again, Aqua just continues to joke, and he's like, director who? I don't know anybody like that. As Marina's just like, now, it's raining outside anyway. Why don't you come in, right? We'll call a taxi for you. And she's like, are you hungry? And she's like, this place is Neapolitan, it's so good, you can just order that and eat up, right? And Aqua's like, no, I'm good, I don't care, right? As one of the other people here, one of the actresses, she's like, oh, I'll quit it, Kendoji-san. He's like, she just can't leave young people alone, huh? As Aqua hears this name, Tendoji, and he just stares, like, he gives a terrible stare at Marina here, as he just thinks back to his days as Goru, and just a patient of Serena Tenjoni and the guardian, Marina Tendoji. And he thinks of in the past when, as Goru, he met with both of them to sort of talk about Serena's condition. And we see in this panel that Serena's got this really blank stare. I mean, it almost looks terrible, right? And we see her mother smiling, sitting beside her, right? And Aqua's eyes go even darker at this point, as he just looks at her. She's like, are you Marina Tendoji? And she's just like, oh, why, yes, I am. Did I happen to introduce myself at any point, right? And she's just like, here's the sparkler. As it sort of seems that Aqua has sit down and decide to sort of stay and talk, because he knows something is up, and he is pissed. As she's just like, oh, here's your sparkling water. When you're in love to drink, we'll have a drinking party all night. Isn't that right? And she's like, but then again, you probably won't want to drink from an old lady like me, huh? And she's like, don't worry, when the time comes, I'll bring my cute friends with me. And he's just like, you really like booze, huh? And she's just like, well, that's because drinking is like work itself. And Aqua's just like, is that okay? Won't worry someone. Let me rephrase that. Aqua's just like, won't somebody worry about you, somebody like your family? And Marina's just like, well, I'm in my mid-50s already, and I've always been like this. No one is going to worry. And again, Aqua flashes back to him in his days as Goru, as I'm pretty sure these are like sort of like wishing trees or prayer trees in Japan. I know they were in one chapter of Mizukoi, and I don't remember what they were called. But we see that Goru is sitting here, and there's this tree, and Serena's asleep in her hospital room, and there are these tags on them, right? And we see that one of these is just like, I hope I go to a B Kominahachi concert, of course, fitting with her stuff. We see another one that I can't really dictate what it says, but we see the one that's really focused on is just saying, I hope mom and dad won't get sick, right? As Aqua is just thinking about this, as he just says, and what I can only imagine is in a terribly deep voice, he's just like, I'm sure there is, right? And Marina's just like, well, I guess, right? She's just like, I'm a married woman, but here, have a look. As she shows Aqua a picture on her phone, and we get our focus on Aqua's just deep, dark starring in eyes, as he's just sitting here thinking like, oh my gosh, is there really such a thing? Are there parents like this? Like, Serena-chan, your life was pure hell, wasn't it? As we see that this picture that he was showed is a picture of Marina having a birthday, right? And we see who I am guessing is her husband in the background, and Marina sitting on a couch, and then two people who I'm guessing are her kids sitting beside her on the couch. As we see two signs, one is saying, don't drink too much, and the other one is like, happy 54th birthday, mom. As we sort of get this, and what ends up happening now is we continue on, and Marina's like, kids, as long as we're all healthy, that's all that matters. As we see this, and this is a devastating scene, as we really learn that Serena's mom, of course, Serena's now Ruby, but I mean, I don't really want to get all into that. her mom didn't care about her at all. And just the reaction that Aqua has to this. I really liked Aqua whenever he wasn't in his revenge mode. And I think since he's gone sort of back into it here, since that, like, chapter 80 mark, I think that Aqua's been a lot more annoying as a character. But this just makes me sort of happy for Aqua, just seeing that he can still have these emotions when still using characters like Kana and Akane, and even his sister in this case. And of course he doesn't know, of course the two siblings of, or children of Ai, don't know what's going on here, who is who. One is Goru and one is Serena, and so on and so forth. But still, it's really nice to see that Aqua still has a conscience to him. It is really just a very interesting thing, and something that I am really happy to see for Aqua's character as a whole. But at this point, the chapter isn't over yet, as we still have probably the biggest thing to happen. Or, I don't know about that, I mean, this was a really big chapter. As we see Ruby is here, again, just doing that thing of just saying mom, mom, mom over again. As we see that Kana's here with her, and Kana sort of just tries to give Ruby some more advice, just saying, like, I know you're stuck here again. She's like, the feelings here is a scene where you understand the feelings of a mother who ran away from her child, a scene where you recognize yourself as a stranger who isn't loved by your mother. And it's just stopping here. Yes, as we just found out, Ruby already knows this feeling of being Serena and having the mother of Marina, in just knowing this, as Kana ends up continuing this. A scene that triggers you to release your mother as well as yourself. With such desperate... With such a desperate face, the progression of the story, and Ruby just cuts her off. She's like, but isn't that odd? It's probably wrong to accept that your mother doesn't love you. I'm sure they were just in a disagreement somehow. I don't understand this at all. You think so? As the final page of this chapter, we see Ruby here in a very disheveled looking space. This will probably be the image used for the thumbnail because it is crazy. As we just see her eyes are all soulless and black, and the word bubbles are all black too. As she's just like, deep down, parents will definitely love their children. And I have to imagine that she's saying this like, yeah, deep down, parents definitely love their children. Because it is truly showing us that Marina didn't care, and that Serena, now Ruby, knew that. And again, this is an experience that Ruby has. I can't help but think back to the personal audition not too long ago, where Ruby had to act out the scene of a liar, and knowing that and the whole rant that she went on there, and how that was her deep down. And again, this movie here is also her deep down because of her experience as Serena. And that's it on the chapter. I really wonder what will be going on here. What will Marina's role be in the story? What is Aqua going to do about this? And I can't help but thinking, but this arc will sort of be a way, I don't know if you really call it an arc, but this sort of story beat will be a way that maybe Aqua and Ruby finally learn each other's identities. Because if they do that, I can't help but wonder that the story may progress in a different way from that point, and Aqua and Ruby may sort of both let off on being as hard-ass as they own on doing this movie and everything. And I know Aqua still wants to screw Hikaru, his dad, but still, I mean, this is a really big thing that's going on. And that's my prediction, is that this will be used to find out the two siblings' identities to each other, but at the same time, this could just be used to just show how much of an asshole Marina is, and again, how much of this is going into how Ruby will be portraying the role of Ai in this movie. Because, oh my gosh, she looks terrible at the end of this scene. And I do find it interesting that last chapter, she wasn't thinking about Ai as much whenever she was saying mom, mom, mom over again. She was more thinking about her original mother when she was Serena. Well, just a fun tidbit. I don't really have much else to say about this chapter. If you're enjoying all the Oshi no Ko content, well, please drop a like on the video, subscribe to all of that good stuff. I don't know if I ever mentioned Chapin chapter title. It is called Biological Mother. I got it in before the end, though. So yeah, I'll follow that. I don't really have much else to say, and yeah, this was a really good chapter of Oshi no Ko. Next time will be chapter 120, so we'll see what's going to be going on there. And until next time, this is going to be Glowplasma231